Hey, this is Suzanne here with Caregiver Haven in Patient Past. Today we're going to talk about a very emotional subject. What happens when we're diagnosed with dementia? What happens to the caregiver, the family members, when their loved one gets diagnosed? And what happens to the senior? How do they feel when they are diagnosed? We are going to look at many emotions today, and they are very common and they are very natural. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so what we'll actually learn about is understanding and coping with dementia and caring for someone as they go through these stages, understanding the impact of dementia on the senior, and not prolonging the diagnosis, but prolonging the progression of the disease once you are diagnosed. First of all, you want to understand that dementia is an umbrella term. It is not a specific disease. Okay, it is a umbrella general term for the mental decline that somebody doesn't have the abilities anymore to carry on with their daily life. They're going to need help. Their brain is slowing down. There are different types of dementia. Alzheimer's, of course, is the most common, but there's vascular dementia, which happens with a stroke. And then there's Lewy body dementia that happens. It's a different type of pathology or way that it occurs. There is Parkinson's, that is a dementia. Those are people that you see that are very stiff, kind of almost robotic in their walking. Also, looking around, they look and stare. So there are different ways that these different dementias can show themselves. Dementia will get worse over time, and in early stages, people might forget things or have trouble solving problems. But as they progress, the tasks are like getting dressed or remembering loved ones are going to be difficult for them. These people often feel confused, scared, and angry, and they might also have physical changes like even trouble walking or swallowing. So they become more and more difficult um, to work with if you do not understand what they're going through. So, how do we cope with the diagnosis? Well, once we get a dementia diagnosis, it's going to be really tough. First of all, most of my patients, when they came back into the office and told me that they had a confirmed diagnosis of it, they usually broke down and cried. Their loved one, their spouse, was trying to be as strong as possible. Things like, we're going to get through this together. Don't you worry about it. The reason the senior, the person who is diagnosed, was so upset is they know they're going to become a burden to somebody someday. And they know that they feel guilty about it. They feel sad about it. They are grieving about it. There are so many mixed emotions, including the sadness, anger, fear, and even denial. So, what we're looking at is building a support system. It's a key. Talking with friends, family about how you're feeling, joining those support groups are so important. You have to have them. Communicating with someone who has dementia can be challenging. So, being patient as a caregiver, taking time, repeating things over and over again is something you need to do because they did not hear you the first, second, third, fourth, or fifth time. Using simple words, avoiding arguments, making sure that they're paying attention when you're talking to them. Making the home important or safe is very important. You cannot have tripping hazards. Consider locks to prevent wandering. If there's stairs, make sure you're holding the person's hand as they're going up and down stairs. You can even be holding their hands while they are guiding them wherever they are when they have dementia. Um, Finally, we can both seniors and caregivers alike get in the healthy eating, the exercising, enough sleep, all of these things will give us better outcomes. So, everyday life is going to change when someone has dementia. There is no guarantee that they're going to have a great day one day and a great day the next day. So, using reminders like calendars or notes can help with memory. It's also important to be patient with somebody who acts differently. Getting in those eating and health habits are excellent. And again, keeping the house safe. Really, one of the best things you can do is keep it free of clutter too. I noticed that the less clutter is around, that they have like one pair of shoes. They put on one outfit. They don't have to figure out what outfit to wear. Did they wear it again yesterday? Because they're not going to remember. Did they wear it? They may wear the same clothes every day because they don't know that they wore it the day before. So trying to give them simplify everything as much as possible is going to help them. And then, of course, it's important to know when to ask for help. If you or your loved one, those you love, are making big changes in their memory or their behavior, it's time to see their neurologist. Usually family practice doctors, internal medicine doctors don't deal with dementia. Once they're diagnosed, it will be the neurologist that takes care of them, or it will be one of the counselors or therapists who work with people who have dementia. Also, too, there is a specialty out there called gerontology. These are physicians, MDs, who are trained to work with the geriatric patient. So there are plenty of different people out there that are skilled at working with folks that have dementia and also their family members that have dementia. There are community programs out there, and I have been involved in these personally, where I have sat in on some of them, but I have also been on the panel with them. And I will tell you, they are absolutely amazing support groups. People come in and they ask questions about dementia and what they need to know and how to cope with it. And actually, the information that the panelists give them is one thing, but I found the most important information is what they shared among themselves. They weren't afraid to talk about it, and they had so many great ideas of who in the community did what, and the resources out there, what they've tried that worked and didn't work. It was just amazing how they shared. So let's talk about the caregiver who's going to be taking care of somebody who has dementia. You got to choose the right specialist. As I said, it's got to be a neurologist, a gerontologist, a social worker, a therapist who specializes in geriatric caregiving or grief or depression. These are all things that folks specialize in that you can get the support from. So being a caregiver means that you're going to be somebody who needs help. I can't say that enough. You have got to get a team together that's going to help you, even if it's to give you 1 hour off a week. It's a big job to be a caregiver to somebody who has dementia. Start finding these people now. You do a lot of the physical work. You're going to help them get dressed and eat. You're going to put them to bed. You're going to bathe them. You're going to have to do all their daily activities for them that they cannot do on their own. You may also be doing their finances for them. And you will find that your relationship with them deteriorates. Why? Because they're not capable of a relationship anymore because they don't understand maybe who you are or what you are to them and how you're helping them. They will go through anger, sadness, and stress. So therefore, the person you once knew is no longer that person. And so we want to hold on to that relationship, but it doesn't stay. We're going to lose it as they start, as the disease continues. So if you're a caregiver, it's very important that you watch out for you watch out for the burnout. And this happens when you're so stressed that you can't take care of yourself anymore. You're going to find yourself tired, forgetful, and irritable. Those are signs of burnout. But you're also going to be sad. You'll cry. You're just so tired and you feel so hopeless. That is burnout. There is hope out there. We just got to get you to find it and be surrounded by it. So, taking care of somebody with dementia, again, really tough. Um, you might also have trouble sleeping. They may have trouble sleeping. They'll get up several times a night. And this is like having a newborn. If you've ever been a mom or dad, you know how tired and exhausted you are getting up every couple of hours, having your sleep interrupted. You can't do it. This is where one of the best things you can do is hire a high school student to come in, sleep on the couch, and get up with the person a couple of nights a week. So at least you can get your own good night's sleep. You have to have your sleep, have to. So besides feeling exhausted, you're going to have feeling bad emotionally, and that's going to affect your body. You might find yourself having headaches, backaches, um, overwhelmed, angry, and that's going to lead to depression. So it's very important that you take time out for yourself. Get yourself not only the help you need, talking to somebody and getting the support, but it's just as important that you, as the caregiver, take time off. Sometimes your senior in their stages will have a meltdown if they think you're leaving or they know you're leaving. It's going to be okay. You have to leave anyway. You know what? Their meltdown is going to be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, no longer than that, just like a baby being left at the daycare center for the first time in their lives from their mother. They're going to cry for a few minutes and then they're going to go off and play. Well, your loved one is going to be just fine with you on vacation or you taking the time off you need. Do not feel guilty about it. They're going to be okay. It can also be very frustrating. And what I mean by that is you're going to find that when you tell them something, they don't understand you, or they don't know what you said, or they don't remember how to eat, they don't remember how to dress. They're fearful of the bathroom. Many times they are. They see a hole in the toilet. They don't understand. They think they're going to fall in. Okay. Water can scare them, and this can lead to frustration and exhaustion. And these are triggers actually for anger, where we become short-tempered with our loved ones. We find ourselves yelling at them, or we turn our anger on somebody else in our family, like our spouse or our own children, because we're so tired and now just short-tempered. So remember, it's okay to feel angry, but it's how you handle it that really matters. And getting angry is going to hurt your other relationships. So be careful that you know that you're in that frustration, exhaustion, or feeling overwhelmed state that's creating the anger. It's not only hurting your caregiver patient relationship, but it's also hurting those other relationships too. Take a few minutes to relax, get the help you need, learn to put yourself first, and get that support. No matter where you find it, it's going to be okay. There's also a chance that you, as the caregiver, can become depressed. It becomes a serious issue here because it's a loss of interest, fatigue, and hopelessness. It is where you feel that you feel guilty, but you also have a feeling of I just don't want to do anything anymore. Then you don't take the time off. You don't put yourself first in your schedule. You find yourself blaming not only yourself, but others for not doing enough. And again, you have that feeling of overwhelmment. Either talk to a professional counselor, it's time to get in a support group with other caregivers or for depression. Um, There's also Al-Anon, which is very good for people who become codependent, who have a tendency to want to do everything for them, everything themselves, and they won't ask for help. And enable they enable others to let them run their lives. So it's a really good program to bring out the strength that caregivers need when they find themselves in that situation. But if you're not in that situation, you just find yourselves in situations where you can't get the help and you're getting burned out, as I said, and you're leading to depression. Then it is time, even your friends will start noticing because they'll speak up to you. And when one or more friends say, "You're not going out with us anymore," it's time for you to make some hard decisions about that. Okay, so balancing your needs as a caregiver between you and the person that has dementia, establishing those clear boundaries, which we talk about over and over again here at Caregiver Haven and Patient Best. We talk about protecting you both from burnout, and we talk about prioritizing your own self-care through the activities you like to do, whether it's exercise, hobbies, travel, even getting a good night's sleep. Don't forget respite care. Don't forget adult daycare centers. You know, these adult daycare centers, they don't even call them that anymore. They call them like adult or senior fun centers or something. These folks go in there and they're absolutely taken care of and they have an absolute blast and it is well worth it. The people in there are amazing. They know how to handle folks that have dementia at all stages, and they give you a whole day off, half a day off, whatever you want. The resources are there. They're extremely safe. And I highly recommend them. If you have not visited these adult centers, go and visit them. They make so many friends there too. Those people you love, you send them over there, they come home refreshed. They tell you stories about what other folks have done, how they've lived their lives, and they build true relationships with one another. So they're getting that social element in there too. It's really a wonderful thing to have. Then building resilience and cultivating the hope is essential. And what I mean for that is your role gives you a sense of purpose. And focusing on those positive aspects of your relationship, celebrating the small victories are going to shift your perspective. I will tell you that I've had many a caregiver say to me, if I had to do it all over again, I would. I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I took care of these people that I love, and I really appreciate it. And they are most grateful for the experience. Do they ever want to do it again? No. But they're glad they did it, and they're glad they were there. So appreciation comes into play here. So just try to get through some mindfulness techniques, deep breathing, meditation. That can help you stay present. It can help you reduce the stress. Take that time to have these quick 5-minute practices where you just foster a sense of peace and well-being. It will truly enhance your ability to cope with the challenges of caregiving. Next, build strong support systems. I can't say this enough. I'll say it over and over again. Seek support. You do not have a sign of weakness when you do this. Family, friends, support groups. I have so many caregivers have told me too that they started out with a lot of friends and family who were willing to help. And then one day they turned around and nobody was there anymore. Everybody had gone their merry way and everybody had left to do other things. So it's extremely important that you remember this, because as people are coming around at first, when you're first diagnosed, and they're going to help, keep those people on a schedule. Let them know that you expect them once a week, twice a month, once a quarter, whatever it takes. But you expect them to help and hold them to it. Otherwise, they'll fall through the cracks, not meaning to, but they will fall through the cracks, and you'll find yourself saying, wait a minute, where is everybody? Okay. So please don't let them. I think that everyone ought to have at least 2 or 3 backups to the person that's helping with one of the tasks. So, for instance, if you have somebody who is willing to take mom to the doctor and that's not one of your jobs, then you want 2 backups for that. That you could call 2 other people to take mom to the doctor if they need to go, if that one can't help at that time. But hold them to take her the next time, or they will just disappear on you. Make sure you always schedule in advance the next time they're going to take mom to the doctor. Legal and financial considerations are extremely important. These have to be done and have to be done when the person is first diagnosed with dementia. They have to have their right mind about them. Now, there are attorneys out there that have no morals or ethics, and they will actually let somebody with severe dementia change their will. I've seen it over and over again. I've seen the patients in hospice under the influence of multiple medications be allowed to change their wills. Not okay. You want to get all this family estate planning in place ahead of time, even as a senior or as a caregiver. You want to understand these documents, who is going to do what, when they're going to do it, and how they're going to do it once the person is diagnosed with dementia. In a court of law, if somebody brings forth a lawsuit against you and says your loved one was diagnosed with dementia and then they didn't sign a document for 2, 3 years, the court could say, we don't honor the later document because it was changed later after they were diagnosed. So as soon as they're diagnosed, make sure that all of these are signed, sealed, and delivered to the proper people. So now we need to look at some practical strategies. What do I mean by that? Well, first of all, you've got to create that safe environment I talk about by removing all hazards, installing safety features, and adapting the home to the individual's needs. So, for instance, for Parkinson's, where they have that gated type of walk, or they are very stiff, they move their whole body to look around and they stare. And they're not aware of where they're walking, how they're walking, and they can fall. In fact, they fall quite a bit. So make sure you've got the home safe. Use effective communication. That's very simple. Use simple words. Practice patience and validation. And if you don't know how to talk to somebody simply, I suggest that you go on either Chat GPT, it's free, or Gemini. These are 2 programs you can do for free and say, tell me how to talk to somebody about, let's say, a problem or a discussion you have. Let's say you're talking about them sleeping, and you say, tell me how to talk to somebody about sleeping well on the 3rd grade level or on the 1st grade level, something like that. Okay, very simple commands, and they will. You can go all the way up through college, you PhD if you wanted to. You could totally complicate it. But if you want simple commands or a difficult conversation with somebody, you can always go to ChatGPT or Gemini, which is Google's artificial intelligence, and say, please give me a conversation, especially asking somebody for help. How do I ask somebody for help taking care of my mom who is in stage 3 of dementia? And they give you a lot of good hints on that. So I strongly recommend that, right? Managing challenging behaviors. You're going to need to have distractions for them, redirection for them, and a calming environment. Sometimes music can be extremely calming for them, so be careful what music you like and what music you put on. Earphones are good for them. They can wear those, and they like to hear their music, then another thing you can do is in every room have a basket there with the distractions. For instance, if mom is getting irritated, give her a basket of laundry to fold. Never mind that you unfold everything at the end of the day and you start over again. At least you've got a basket there with distractions for her. So those are the kind of things you want around your house, if she's living with you, or um, if she's in her own home and you're visiting her. Maintain physical and mental well-being for both, again, you and the one you love. And maybe walking with them, regular exercise, maybe a wheelchair, um, little little snacks that are good for them, mental stimulation activities you can do, and then scheduling. Make sure you keep them on a schedule. Every single memory care place I've ever seen, assisted living place, they have schedules. And especially adult daycare, it's a schedule. People expect a schedule. Have to have a schedule in place. So important. Okay, we've talked about self care, and I think you know that whatever you choose to do to get the rest you need is extremely important, and the professional help you need extremely important. So, I think we've talked about that enough. Let's talk about understanding the impact of dementia, the diagnosis on the patient. Okay, this is your senior or those you love that have just been diagnosed. So they're certainly not happy about it, but they go from anger to denial, sadness, fear, confusion, shock. They have all these different emotions. They are actually grieving the loss of their life. They are grieving the fact that they're not going to remember you. On top of the grief, they have the guilt. The guilt, and it's such a mixed emotion to have their identity stolen from them and not be able to do anything about it. So between the guilt and the grief that they're feeling, they are not gripping and coming to terms of the loss that they feel. Give them time. They have to come around with this, but it's going to take time. It could take weeks for them to finally go through the stages that they have to go through in order to finally get to the acceptance of it. They have a sense of loss of control and purpose. I cannot emphasize this enough. Please, open, honest conversations. When they're ready to talk about it, they will. But they may not want to talk about it with you. They may want to talk about it with someone else who they trust. And most times, when people are given a diagnosis like this, they will only listen to one person. Everybody wants to give them ideas. Everybody wants to take them to specialists, different specialists. Try this, try that. There's certainly plenty of garbage out there on the internet that tells you, eat 3 beans a day and you won't get dementia, or climb a tree and you won't get dementia. Who knows? All this crazy stuff. Forget it. They trust one person, even if it's their doctor. Let them trust that one person, and they'll come around and start to finally accept the diagnosis. Well, first, the denial is their defense mechanism. Very common to deny it, say there's no way, I think it's just memory loss. I'm not. Many times they're not even going to go to the doctor. They don't want to go to the doctor. They won't even when I refer them to a neurologist, they won't go because they're afraid of what the diagnosis is going to be, even though dementia, there's only 2 out of 100 people between the ages of 65, 69 that have dementia. Yes, the figures go up, and by the time they're 90, 33 or a third of people are diagnosed with dementia, but there's different stages, different forms of dementia. It depends on how well you take care of yourself. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. But they're going to deny it. So let them go through their process. Be patient with them. Let them deny it. Just start putting into play what effective coping strategies you want to deal with, you want to work with. This is going to impact how you relate to them as well. When telling somebody, look, you've been diagnosed, you have dementia, It's going to lead to frustration, confusion, if they're going to be in the stages of denial. They're going to become agitated and they're actually going to withdraw from you. That's the last thing you want them to do because they're not going to hear you. You want to keep that communication open. So try not to go down that road every time. You have dementia, I'm going to help you. They want to say, let me be, I can do it myself. Let them do it themselves. Let them try. They want to keep staying independent. They're still in denial. They do not think they have it. Just try to put into place some planning and, again, simplifying things, decluttering the house for them, giving them simple choices so that when they come out in the morning ready to go to the doctor, they're still in their pajamas. You'll say, oh, the doctor wanted to see you in your clothes, remember? And just have them change. So you could even say, I mean, last time you were in, the doctor said he wanted to see you in clothes this time. Let's go ahead and put on that outfit we laid out last night. So things you have to do. So remember, keep it simple, simple, simple. Don't confront their denial. Let them stay in denial until they finally accept it. Moving beyond this, you're going to have the open, honest communications with them. You're going to build your own support system because there are ways that you can talk to them while they're in denial. Seek that professional guidance. Get those coping skills going. Anger is another thing they're going to feel. They're going to be angry. There are certain common triggers for anger. And of course, their loss of independence, their frustration, their fear of the unknown, but also the physical and emotional manifestations you're going to see where they may not talk to you at all. And that's going to lead to them breaking down the relationship with you. So what you want to do here when they're angry is let them feel their anger. They're not mad at you. One of the things you have to remember is their anger, they don't know who to lash out to, but they know you are the safe person that they could probably give their anger to. And they know you're still going to love them and care for them. So let that be. Let them be angry at you because you're going to go off the next day or in the next hour and you're going to go get your own self-care. You're going to find the people that aren't angry at you. You're going to find the people who support you. You're going to find the people that love you. Their anger is not personal. Their anger is about the pain that they're feeling, the loss of independence, the pain they feel in the frustration, the pain they feel in the fear. All anger comes from pain. Whether it's emotional pain or physical pain, all anger comes from pain. So coping with it, let them have the outbursts, journal about it if you need to, talk to people about it, and you could walk away. But again, you can also distract them when they're in anger. With effective strategies with anger, sometimes you can say, I, I don't think you should talk to me like that, or I'm really feeling hurt by that. Use the I words, not you, you, you. You is not calming. You is not supportive. So you want to say, I feel this way. I'm sorry that you hurt. I'm sorry that you feel that way. When you're ready to talk, let's have a conversation. I say that so many times to our members. Let them know that when they're ready to talk, you're ready to listen. You're ready to have that conversation. And sometimes you just have to walk away and give them some distractions and they'll calm down again. Depression, as I've mentioned before, is very common with dementia. And it's just a persistent sadness and a loss of interest in activities and even appetite. And they don't sleep well. They have a feeling of hopelessness. They don't even get out of their pajamas. They don't take baths anymore. They don't clean up. They don't brush their teeth. They just don't feel like living anymore. Almost a self-suicide here that I'm just ready to go. I don't want to be a burden to anybody. So at this point, you're going to need some professional help. You need somebody who can come in. And what's interesting is when you do bring somebody in from the outside, this senior, this person you love, perks up. This person can't wait to see them. You see nothing in this person. You don't know why they're loving this person, but they do. Don't take it personally. You're doing everything else, but you brought in somebody else. Give yourself a little self care, a little respite care. And lo and behold, they're loving this other person. Great. Let them love them. Let them perk up. Anything besides depression is better. And then some other things you can do is you can also, there's medication, of course, you can talk to the doctor about that, the professional help. You can get strong support system between family and friends that can come over. And again, friends love to come over and talk, and the person just adores the friends. Talking to their brothers and sisters over the phone, even if they're long distance, is a wonderful thing to do. Challenge them with enjoyable activities that they might like, documentaries, movies, and again, songs. I know we have several times our members have talked about the songs that they remember in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. One of the things about dementia is the last thing they ever forget is their name. And the second last thing they forget is their songs. So play those songs that they loved in the 40s, the 50s, and the 60s. I think I have the top 100s of the 40s, 50s, and 60s in the membership toolbox for you. So you can play those and they can tell you, while they're in their early stages of dementia, which ones they really liked. But a lot of them, even in their late stages of dementia, the seniors will remember these songs and sit there, or they'll even start to dance with some of these songs. It's pretty cool. Songs are amazing. Balancing it is remembering that you've got anger, depression, and grief all intertwined. It's very, very complicated. So recognizing these emotions, how to cope with each and every one of them is almost impossible to do. Just get the healthy outlets there for all of them. And just keep trying different healthy outlets. They're going to work today, but tomorrow they might not work. You'll have to try some more strategies. The next day, you'll find that yesterday's or 2 weeks ago, the strategies you used and didn't work now work. You keep trying them over and over and over again. Just because they don't work once doesn't mean they'll never work. Remember, the mind is changing, and so are how they're feeling, their emotions. So you never know what's going to work. So get your tool belt of strategies in play and just keep going through them and keeping them emotionally engaged in the next activity that they can look forward to. And again, being open and honest with them, giving them hope, having resilience for yourself is extremely important. Now let's look at some practical tips for adjusting to your life. Again, these are the things we have talked about: having a plan in place, having a journal, laying things out, having a schedule, focusing on finding joy in the meaning in life, engage in the activities that bring pleasure and fulfillment, whether it's spending time with your loved ones, enjoying their hobbies, exploring new interests. Every day is an opportunity to create a positive experience and build those lasting memories. Quickly, I want to go over the healthy habits that can potentially delay the dementia progression that we talked about in the beginning of this webinar. First of all, your brain and body are closely connected. And so therefore, taking care of one is going to benefit the other. So eating a healthy diet rich in fruits, vegetables, even protein is extremely important, but check with your doctor first, especially for protein. If the kidneys are damaged in any way, you want to always talk to them about that. Regular exercise, even if it's walking, yoga in a chair, dancing, improves the blood flow and stimulates the brain cells. And keeping the mind active with puzzles, learning new things, playing games, building brain connections, thinking of it like exercising all your brain muscles. And then doing the mental stimulation. Kind of here is what you're trying to do is get them socialized. Get them to have a conversation. That is a mental stimulation that's extremely important. Um, Thinking through a problem, thinking through who they're talking to, what they're saying to a person will help keep them healthy. This is why social engagement, this is why we talk all the time about being social, staying social, because social really makes us use our brain. We have to volley that conversation back and forth. If you've ever met somebody who doesn't talk back to you, it's extremely difficult to volley a conversation or engage them. Conversations engage people. It's a mental stimulation that by far surpasses anything else they can do. Have them in conversation. Then, of course, in addition to that, you want sleep hygiene. Make sure they and you are getting the best sleep possible, managing stress, promoting emotional stability. As I said, these are the things where you distract, you change things up, you get your own self care. Folks are um, socializing, meeting new people, seeing different people, looking forward to holidays. And again, everything's on a schedule, so they look forward to the next thing, forward to the next thing, forward to the next thing. And this keeps them out of depression and anger. And then, of course, the regular medical checkups with the neurologist, with the gerontologist, with the social worker, with the therapist, the regular medical checkups to make sure that everybody's on even keel. Yoga is a wonderful practice for chronic stress relief because it involves breathing, the big sigh of relief that you have with breathing, which is also part of monitoring your blood pressure, the body's activities, and then, of course, always checking to make sure your loved one with the medical checkups is not getting another chronic disease of some kind like diabetes. We certainly don't want that. All right, so in summary, understanding and coping with dementia, caring for somebody who has it, or understanding the impact of dementia on the patient, what the patient's going through. Let them be in denial. Let them be angry. Let them be sad. Let them grieve. They have to have time to do this. And let them trust that one person they want to put their trust in. Even if it's not you, they have to trust one person. If they try to trust two, they become confused. Prolong the progression of the disease with the healthy habits. We should all start those now anyway. And that's it. And take care, and we'll talk soon. If you have any questions, you can always email me at Suzanne@caregiverhaven.com, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.